Hello everyone, welcome to WHT Media. In our last episode, we discussed the general challenges facing the German automotive industry. Today, we'll take a closer look at the crisis within the Volkswagen Group. We intend to analyze the reasons for this from three perspectives: the EU's climate and CO2 emissions policy, the electrification of cars in Europe, and competition from China. Since early September, Volkswagen has announced that it is considering shutting down two of its plants in Germany, the first time in the company's 87-year history. On September 10th, Volkswagen unilaterally terminated its employment guarantee agreement, which was set to expire in 2029, and plans to start forced layoffs after July 2025. The company's reasoning? A continuous decline in demand in the European market. According to Volkswagen's CFO, the company sells 500,000 fewer cars annually in Europe compared to pre-pandemic levels, equivalent to the output of two factories. So, what are the underlying reasons for this situation? Volkswagen is a corporate giant. It is Europe's largest industrial group and the highest revenue automotive group in the world last year, with a record turnover of Euro 332 billion. It ranked second globally in sales with 9.24 million units, just 24,000 behind Toyota. Volkswagen's revenue exceeds the entire GDP of EU countries like Romania, the Czech Republic, Finland, or Portugal. Currently, 684,000 people are employed by Volkswagen worldwide, with brands including Skoda, Audi, Porsche, Lamborghini, Bentley, Seat, Bugatti, and MAN under its umbrella. Of these employees, 200,000 work for Volkswagen's core brands, with 120,000 in Germany, the country's largest employer. Volkswagen operates 6 car assembly plants in Germany, located in Wolfsburg, Emden, Osnabrück, Hanover, Zwickau, and Dresden, alongside 4 component plants in Braunschweig, Salzgitter, Kassel, and Chemnitz. 6 of these factories are in Lower Saxony, 1 in Hessen, and 3 in Saxony. To understand Volkswagen, we must look at its main plant in Wolfsburg. Founded in 1938, the plant here covers an area of 1.6 square kilometers and employs 60,000 people. It produces core models like the Golf, Touran, Tiguan, Golf variant, and the electric ID. 4, with an annual capacity of 870,000 vehicles. In 2023, production stood at about 490,000 vehicles, with a capacity utilization rate of only 56.32%. As the company's headquarters, the Wolfsburg plant is not threatened with closure. However, according to the German newspaper Automobilwoche, after negotiations between the company and labor unions, a significant reduction in its production capacity is highly likely. Unions wield significant power at Volkswagen because the original factory was built with funds seized from unions by Hitler. After the war, the German Metal Workers Union, IG Metall, has co-governed with Volkswagen's board. In addition, the state of Lower Saxony, which owns 20% of Volkswagen, is currently represented on the supervisory board of Volkswagen by the state's Prime Minister and the Minister of Culture, who is a member of the Green Party. What are the key factors driving Volkswagen's crisis? Should we consider the following 3 questions? First, what are the implications of the EU's climate and CO2 emission policies for the German automotive industry? Over the past 15 years, the EU and many national governments have introduced increasingly strict carbon dioxide emissions targets. In 2021, the limit was set at 116 grams of CO2 per kilometer, with a target of 95 grams per kilometer for 2025, and an almost utopian target of 50 grams per kilometer by 2030. The goal is to reduce carbon emissions by 90% from 1990 levels by 2040. The 2024 goal is considered a mid-term target, while the EU has committed to reducing emissions by at least 55% by 2030 and achieving net zero emissions by 2050. This aligns with the goals of the Paris Agreement as humanity attempts to confront climate change. Currently, the EU's average emissions are 115.1 grams of CO2 per kilometre. For every gram exceeding the limit, a fine of Euro 95 per vehicle sold is imposed. According to an August report by Automotive News Europe, the data analytics company Dataforce stated that among the major European car manufacturers, only Geely and Tesla, due to their production of electric vehicles, are on track to meet the EU's 2025 CO2 emissions targets. Economist Dr. Helmut Becker analyzes that no car manufacturer can fully comply with EU climate regulations, and all manufacturers must pay significant fines to the EU based on the extent of their non-compliance. To avoid fines, manufacturers must increase the proportion of electric vehicles. However, this shift in product focus will likely fail due to insufficient demand and could result in millions of job losses, particularly for German manufacturers, led by Volkswagen. Dataforce analysts recently calculated that based on Volkswagen's current sales of battery electric vehicles and plug-in hybrids, the company could face fines ranging from Euro 4 billion to Euro 5 billion. Companies seeking to avoid fines will almost certainly have to significantly reduce production. It can be said that these policies are destroying Germany's most successful automotive technologies. The question to be pondered is whether the EU should revise its costly green policy at a time when it is imposing punitive tariffs on Chinese imports. The second question: is the electrification of vehicles in line with the development pattern of European automotive industry? The German Automotive Industry Association, VDA, has called for a ban on diesel and gasoline vehicles. Over the past few years, car manufacturers have invested heavily in electric vehicles and alternative energy technologies. However, the emergence of electric vehicles is not a natural development. It is actually an ideological coercive measure. Last year, Thomas Schaefer, the new Volkswagen brand boss, delivered a fire speech on the theme of "The roof is on fire." His CFO added, "Our automotive business is sick." In the short and medium term, the greatest risk lies in the collapse of demand for electric vehicles. Volkswagen had just added production capacity for its ID electric vehicle series at its plants in Emden, Brussels, and Wolfsburg. However, since the reduction of state subsidies in July 2023, almost no customers have ordered electric vehicles. According to a report in the 2023 NWZ newspaper, Nordwest Zeitung, Volkswagen's labor union explained that while preparations for the electric ID models had been completed, they could not meet market demand. Several reasons are not difficult to list. The batteries are too expensive, too heavy, too inflexible, and offer too little range. The media Achtgut made a simple calculation. A customer spends Euro 45,000 to buy a Volkswagen ID.4, which uses a heavy battery and weighs 2.2 tons. If extremely lucky, he could theoretically drive about 350 kilometers. However, he could also buy a Dacia Sandero for around Euro 12,000, which weighs half as much and has a 50-liter fuel tank for an easy 1,000 kilometers. According to Axios, the situation for luxury electric vehicles looks especially grim. In the 30 days ending June 29, 2023, the Korean luxury brand Genesis sold only 18 units of its nearly $82,000 G8 electric sedan. Other luxury models like Audi's Q4 e-tron, Q8 e-tron, and GMC's Hummer electric SUV also have full inventories. Even Tesla has drastically reduced prices to avoid running out of parking spaces. In other words, electric vehicles will soon only be sold at low prices, and German automakers won't be able to perform miracles either. The result is that the electric car policy is destroying Germany's global market leadership in fuel cars. There is also another major issue. Where will the electricity for electric vehicles come from in this country? The current situation is that Germany cannot provide the electricity needed for full nationwide coverage of electric vehicles. The big push for renewable energy has only resulted in higher electricity prices and more frequent blackouts. In many countries, electricity production still relies heavily on fossil fuels like coal, natural gas, or oil. If demand for electricity increases sharply due to the electrification of transportation, more fossil fuels may be used. A result could be that this offsets the climate goals aimed at reducing emissions, since the electricity used for electric vehicles is in total not emission-free. One cannot help but say that the push for electric vehicles is, in fact, a lie. According to American best-selling author Alex Epstein, in his book Fossil Future, the myth of fossil fuel depletion is debunked. Oil, natural gas, coal, and uranium are our most important energy sources, accounting for more than 85% of the world's energy supply. Fossil fuels have ensured the survival of billions of people globally. Over the past 170 years, fossil fuels may have caused a temperature rise of 1 to 1.5 degrees. But at the same time, climate-related deaths have dropped to historic lows during this period. The mechanization powered by fossil fuels has made us more capable of protecting ourselves against the whims of nature. What humanity needs to do is find a balance between the harms and benefits of fossil fuels, developing according to natural principles. In fact, in 2022, global fossil fuel consumption was higher than at any other point in human history. While new fossil fuel reserves are being exploited worldwide, the Germans are moving in the opposite direction. The Wall Street Journal logically labeled Germany's future vision as the world's dumbest energy policy. According to an analysis by Achtgut, when it comes to the cost of producing electric vehicles, US company Ford revealed that, so far, it has lost an average of $36,000 per electric vehicle. Energy expert Robert Bryce even stated that Ford loses $62,000 for every electric vehicle it produces. Such companies would be happier with unsold cars than with cars sold. So why are manufacturers building these cars? The reason is that the government mandates electric vehicles quotas. These losses are passed on to conventional internal combustion engine vehicles and ultimately to the consumers who buy them. The situation in Germany is similar, and this is the inevitable path toward the demise of the automotive industry. Ford seems to be gradually realizing this, and so is Volkswagen. However, this partially state-owned company remains silent on the matter. The third question: how much does the competition from electric vehicles in China affect Volkswagen? Volkswagen in Germany is facing a crisis closely linked to competition from China. First of all, the competition in the Chinese electric vehicle market is fierce. China has become the largest electric vehicle market globally, with domestic manufacturers like BYD, XPeng, and NIO rapidly rising due to strong policy support, technological innovation, and market demand. These companies not only dominate the domestic market, but are also gradually showcasing their strength in international markets. At the same time, the Chinese government vigorously promotes the electric vehicle industry, providing substantial subsidies and policy support to help local companies expand their market share. Second, Volkswagen's market share in China has been steadily declining in recent years. Statistics show that the market share of German car makers in China dropped from 19% in 2020 to 16% in 2024, with sales falling from 4 million units in 2017 to 2.5 million units. In contrast, local companies like BYD have seen their sales surge from 420,000 units to 3.6 million units. In the rapidly developing and highly competitive Chinese electric vehicles market, traditional German automotive brands have made little progress. Today, it's safe to say that VW's Santana days in China are over. Last July, Volkswagen acquired a 5% stake in the EV startup XPeng, investing around $700 million to co-develop 2 new models. Earlier this year, Volkswagen pledged to invest $2.5 billion to expand its production and innovation center in Hefei, China. market experts reveal that Chinese consumers associate electric vehicle sales with cheapness. This presents a multifaceted economic disaster for Volkswagen. The company must sell its electric vehicles at low prices in China, yet even this struggle cannot withstand the low-price competition from Chinese manufacturers. So how do Chinese consumers buy cars? German journalist and publisher Dirk Maxiner, for example, says that according to those who know the Chinese market, for prices above Euro 50,000, the discerning gentleman in Shanghai or Beijing expects complex and sophisticated technology. This group does not wear electric Swatch watches, but prefers mechanical Rolexes. They demand fuel-efficient cars with top-of-the-line features, the soon-to-be obsolete, refined fuel-efficient cars from Mercedes-Benz. Speaking of Mercedes-Benz, its two largest shareholders are Chinese companies, Geely Holding with 9.69% and BAIC Group with 9.98%. BAIC and Mercedes-Benz established Beijing-Benz to primarily cater to the domestic production and sales of Mercedes vehicles. Geely and Mercedes-Benz formed a joint venture, Smart Automobile, focusing on the global production and sales of the smart electric vehicle brand. With the EU planning to impose high punitive import tariffs on Chinese electric vehicles, there are growing concerns that if the EU's plan is implemented, Chinese competitors like BYD, NIO, and Great Wall Motors, GWM, are likely to accelerate their establishment of factories in Europe. Finally, we'll refer to a quote by Dirk Maxiner, an advertisement saying, "All-electric ID.3 Volkswagen Way to Zero has now taken on a completely unexpected meaning. It is not moving towards zero emissions, but towards zero sales, zero profits, zero jobs, zero mobility." Thank you very much for your attention. Be sure to subscribe to our channel. See you next time.